Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us for our midweek online spiritual boost here at Corinth Baptist Church. My name is Robbie Norman. I'm privileged to be the pastor, and we're doing this because we have temporarily suspended our midweek in-person gatherings at church due to the significant uptick in COVID-19 cases in our area. And therefore, we're going to give you something to chew on here in the middle part of your week online. And I want to encourage you to discuss this with your family and your friends and to really go further than this short video will entail. But this week we're talking about the persecuted church. And I'm going to do my best to keep this about at 5 minutes in length. So what is persecution? Well, it's the pursuit and mistreatment of a person or group on the basis of their beliefs. And persecution is found throughout the Bible. In the Old Testament, Elijah, David were persecuted because of their faith in God. And in the New Testament, we're told to expect it, and we're even instructed on how to endure it and what to do during it. But in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12 says, "Indeed, all who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." And I said this past Sunday in our sermon, that persecution is a great indicator of the reality of your faith in Jesus Christ. And persecution comes in many ways and shapes and forms. In our culture, we get made fun of because we are Christians. But yet, if we see what's going on in Afghanistan, people are potentially going to be losing their lives because of their faith in Christ. But 1 Peter 4:16 says, "But if anyone suffers as a Christian, he is not to be ashamed, but is to glorify God in this name." So as we go through persecutions and even sufferings, we're to glorify God through it all. Yeah, it's easy to say, and sometimes that's hard to do, but we are to glorify God in His name. Ephesians 6:12 gives us some insight to the reality of persecution. It says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness." So persecution is a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual battle. It's satanic, and because Satan is seeking to devour all that he can, because he hates God, he hates Jesus, and he hates God's people. 2 Corinthians 12:10 says, "For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong." So we rely on the strength and the power of Jesus to get us through, and so that the gospel can go forth from us during these times of persecution. And we're also told here in Hebrews 13:3 to remember the prisoners as though in prison with them, and those who are ill-treated, since you yourselves you yourselves also are in the body. We need to be praying for those who are persecuted, because we're all in the same family. For Christians, we're all part of God's kingdom, and we need to pray for brothers and sisters across the world who are experiencing persecution. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 10, Jesus says, "Blessed are those who've been persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I found a quote from a persecuted believer. And this individual says, "Don't pray for our persecution to end. Pray that we will be obedient through our suffering." The goal of Christianity is not to be comfortable. It's to be obedient, even through times of suffering. Again, for the gospel to go forth. I'm thinking about the church in Afghanistan right now. We need to be praying and asking that the believers would be bold enough to share the gospel, even if it costs them their physical life. That's important. A couple websites. Persecution.com. You can go there and learn more about the persecuted church. OpenDoorsUSA.org. They have a great page on their site. It's called the World Watch List. Talks about the countries where persecution is the greatest. And then in our own denomination at IMB.org, that stands for International Mission Board, they have a page dedicated to persecution and those who are persecuted, and you can pray. So, with all that being said, the persecuted church, how can you pray? What can you do right now? At the end of this video, I want to encourage you to stop and to pray and remember the persecuted church. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.